Why does an anxious thought feel true even when you have no proof? Your boss sends, "Can we talk?" and your body hears, "You're in trouble." Someone you love gets quiet, and your mind begins writing the breakup. One uncertain detail becomes a complete future, usually the one you fear most. Then you react to that future as if it has already happened. You defend yourself against words nobody said. You withdraw before anyone can leave. You create consequences in the present because of a prediction your fear made about tomorrow. Leah Moreno had finally learned that a trigger could carry an old meaning. But awareness would not stop her from opening one calendar invitation, misreading 3 words, and sending an email she could not take back. The worst part? The meeting she thought would remove her from Haven had been designed to give her more power. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. In this episode, you'll learn how fear turns feelings into forecasts, how to separate observation from inference, and how to keep an anxious story from becoming a real-world decision. The invitation. Tuesday began quietly. Leah arrived before 8, placed her phone inside her desk drawer, and wrote 3 sentences on a yellow note. What happened? Noah changed a line. What I made it mean, I am replaceable. What I need, a role that does not depend on control. It was the first time she had translated a trigger without turning it into a defense. At 8:23, a calendar invitation appeared. Haven Leadership Transition. Attendees: Priya Shah, Noah Kim, Leah Moreno, Chief People Officer. Thursday, 10 a.m., no agenda. Leah read it twice. Her skin went cold. The Chief People Officer did not attend creative meetings. Transition did not mean expansion, it meant removal. The board had approved Haven, and Priya had decided Noah would lead it. Maybe Leah would be reassigned. Maybe she would keep her title and lose the work. Maybe this was how companies managed someone out without saying the words. Her mind moved faster than evidence. By 8:31, she was imagining how to explain the demotion to Daniel. By 8:37, she had opened job listings. By 8:44, she had found an old performance review and highlighted every sentence that proved Haven was hers. At 9:02, Priya messaged, "Can we connect after lunch?" The second uncertain signal seemed to confirm the first. Leah did not notice that she was using one unanswered question as evidence for another. When feeling becomes forecast. Brianna Wiest uses the phrase psychic thinking for a familiar mental error, assuming we know what someone else thinks, what an event means, or what will happen next because the conclusion feels vivid. It is not intuition simply because it arrived quickly. It may be fear wearing the voice of certainty. The mind is built to infer. It takes incomplete information and creates a usable picture. Most of the time, that ability helps us move through the world. But when emotion is intense, inference can become distortion. We take a valid fact, there is a meeting, and add an unsupported conclusion, I am being removed. Then confirmation bias begins collecting anything that matches the conclusion. The Chief People Officer is attending. Priya wants to talk. Noah was given operational control. Each fact can have several explanations. Fear permits only one. An emotion can be honest about your pain and wrong about your future. That distinction is the beginning of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence does not mean distrusting every feeling. It means understanding what a feeling is, what may have activated it, and whether the behavior it urges will create the outcome you want. Leah's fear was real. Her forecast was not yet fact. But her body had already begun responding as if it were. The email. At 10:15, Noah asked if Leah had time to review a retailer video. You can approve it, she said. He paused. We agreed major creative still comes through you. Until Thursday, apparently. Noah's eyes shifted toward her screen. Did you ask Priya what the meeting is? I can read. That's not what I asked. Leah turned back to her laptop. Noah waited, then left. The interaction gave her fear another piece of material. He knows. At 11:06, Leah began writing to Priya. The first draft said, "Can you share the purpose of Thursday's meeting?" It was clear. Neutral. Answerable. She did not send it. The second draft became longer. She listed Haven's history, the consumer research she had initiated, and the overtime she had worked. She wrote that changes to leadership should not be made without a transparent review. She copied the chief people officer because, she told herself, documentation mattered. Her finger hovered over send. For 1 second, she recognized the pattern. The emergency was arriving before the information. Then she imagined sitting silently while Noah received her project. She sent the email. 3 minutes later, Priya replied, "Please come to my office now. The cost of a faulty inference." Priya's office door was open. The email was displayed on her monitor. Why is human resources copied on an accusation about a decision that has not been made? Leah sat down. The meeting includes the chief people officer. Yes, and Noah. Yes. What else was I supposed to think? Priya leaned back. You were supposed to ask. Faulty inferences often begin with legitimate observations. That is what makes them persuasive. The error is not seeing the fact. The error is pretending the fact supports only one story. Wiest describes several forms this can take. A hasty generalization turns one event into a permanent rule. I made one mistake, so I cannot lead. A false choice erases other possibilities. Either I control Haven, or it is being taken from me. A slippery slope turns one uncertainty into an inevitable collapse. If Noah leads operations, I will lose the project, then my title, then my career. Each step feels connected. None of it has been proven. Fear rarely lies with a blank page. It lies by connecting true details into a false conclusion. Priya closed the email. Thursday was supposed to formalize a new structure, she said. Noah would own operations. You would become executive creative lead, reporting directly to me through launch. Leah said nothing. The chief people officer was there to discuss title and compensation. The room seemed to tilt. A promotion? A trial expansion. If the launch went well, yes. Leah looked at the floor. For 2 days, she had been waiting for evidence that she was being rejected. When none arrived, she created a conflict large enough to resemble it. Priya continued. Your work earned the conversation. Your email made me question whether you are ready for it. There was the consequence. Not an imaginary demotion, a real loss of trust. Leah's prediction had been false. Her reaction had made it relevant. Daniel's drawer. That night, Leah found Daniel in the bedroom sorting papers into 2 piles. What are you doing? Cleaning? One pile contained tax records. The other contained rental listings in Seattle. Leah picked up the top page. Why are you looking at apartments? Daniel closed his eyes. This is for a fellowship I applied to last month. You applied to move? I applied to a 1-year design fellowship. Without telling me. I tried. No, you didn't. The night I tried, you spent 2 hours explaining the Haven forecast. Leah looked at the listings again. Her mind began moving. He is planning a life without me. The relationship is already over. The compass was a goodbye gift. She could feel the story becoming physical. Then she remembered the email on Priya's screen. She placed the page on the bed. "What is the fact?" she whispered. Daniel looked confused. "What?" "The fact is you applied for a fellowship." He nodded. "The story I'm adding is that you're leaving me." Daniel sat beside her. "I don't know what happens if I get it. That's not comforting. It's true. It's..." The uncertainty remained. But for once, Leah did not force uncertainty to become tragedy just so it could feel complete. Emotional intelligence does not always produce a soothing answer. Sometimes it gives you the strength to stay inside an unanswered question without turning it into a weapon. The meeting. Thursday at 10, Leah entered the conference room. The chief people officer was there. So were Priya and Noah. Priya began directly. "We have two issues to resolve: the leadership structure and the breakdown in trust caused by Tuesday's email." Leah felt shame rise in her throat. The old response would have been to explain the fear until the behavior seemed unavoidable. Instead, she said, "I made an inference and acted as if it were a fact. That was unfair to all three of you." Noah watched her carefully. The chief people officer asked, "What would you do differently?" Leah looked at the notebook in front of her. On the page, she had drawn a line down the center. On the left, facts. On the right, story. "I would ask before I defend," she said. Priya did not smile. Repair was not going to arrive in one sentence. But she moved the leadership document across the table. Leah's name was still at the top. Executive Creative Lead Haven. The opportunity had survived. Trust had not fully survived with it. That was more honest than a perfect resolution. Practical payoff: the fact. Story split. When anxiety turns uncertainty into a conclusion, take one page and divide it in half. On the left, write fact. Record only what a camera, email, or neutral observer could verify. "There is a meeting on Thursday. My partner has been quiet for an hour. The client has not replied in 2 days." On the right, write story. Name the meaning your fear added. "I am being removed. They no longer love me. I have lost the opportunity." Do not use the exercise to tell yourself everything is fine. Use it to tell the truth about what is known, what is unknown, and what question could reduce the distance between them. Your next move is not certainty. It is one clean question. Sarah, closing. A feeling is real because you are feeling it. That does not make every conclusion attached to it true. Your fear may deserve compassion without being given authority over the facts. Tonight, try the fact. Story split with one unresolved situation. Then, ask the smallest question that could bring you closer to reality. If you value stories that turn insight into something you can recognize in your own life, subscribe to Wise Mind Stories. Leah had expected relief when she saw her new title. Instead, she felt her pulse accelerate. That evening, she would pick a fight with Daniel, reopen a finished campaign, and begin dismantling the very success she had just recovered. Because there was one thing she still did not understand. Sometimes getting what you want can feel more dangerous than losing it. Next episode teaser. Leah earns the role she feared losing. Instead of celebrating, she begins undoing it, revealing why the unfamiliarity of success can activate the same alarm as danger.